Cześć, dzień dobry wszystkim, Mufik z tej strony i zapraszam Was na odcinek z serii Kingdom Come Deliverance II, w którym wraz z Henrykiem udamy się na podróż w poszukiwaniu Opus Magnum. No i co powiesz?
I found the place where we can harvest saltpeter. You just head out of Troskowitz towards Apollonia, carry on alongside the road, then head off it at the right spot. Only it's not a pit, it's 3 piles of earth. The gravedigger Ignatius drove me there himself.
And is it the real stuff? Did you taste it?
Yeah. And I hope I never have to do that again. Ugh. I think the experience has changed me forever.
Biedny Henik.
Oh, come on. You whine more than cynic. It's just commonplace salt. I was hoping it'd be closer. To go all the way to Apollonia. If I send 2 wagons, that should be enough.
What should I do?
That means I could mix a barrel and a half.
Crazel, focus. What else do you need from me?
Oh, sorry. What were you asking? About a reward? It's right here.
Thanks. How's it going with the golem?
Well, the whole thing is really appealing to a scholar of my field of interest and important for humanity. But certain circumstances have emerged which, unfortunately, move its creation somewhere further into the future.
Wait, what do you mean? So there won't be any golem?
Not for now.
What about all the niter? The life essence?
I admitted to myself it's maybe too much to take on, and I decided to go back to my roots.
So the search for saltpeter was for nothing?
Co za typ.
The saltpeter will help us create primordial matter. The origin. Chaos. Materia prima.
God. Here we go again.
As alchemical scholars, we actually have only one task before us. To penetrate the diaphanum and find out where it gets its disposition and power from. Only then will we understand the nature of the shadows.
Eh?
I'll explain it to you.
No wyjaśnij.
Tell me then. So what's the next task, Crazel?
There's a quiet whisper coming from the open gates of Trotsky, carried by the wind all the way here to me. Do you hear it too?
No. I reckon my ears aren't that good.
Scribe Erzim received a chest from Prague, and in that chest...
Hermes Trismegistos' document?
No, a book. From an author even more venerable than Hermes. It's thin, with a sand-colored cover, embossed. Ordinary at first glance. But the treasure's inside. You might say it's a kind of alchemist cookbook.
So you're gonna have me go and pick some locks at the castle, eh?
Did I say anything about stealing? No, when the castle was still closed, I planned to get the book through the castle chamberlain, with the help of a certain woman. But now that you have access to Trotsky yourself, it'll be much simpler.
What about that certain woman? What was your plan?
That's old news. The central figure is now the Trotsky scribe, Erzim. He's a great lover of knowledge. I'm sure he'd be happy to indulge another kindred soul and lend him the book, indefinitely and voluntarily.
Let's hope so. I'll pray I'll be able to convince him, and that I won't have to ride around Trotsky picking up carcasses again. Or worse.
Just do your best. The book is the last piece of the puzzle. The very last. But looking back
Mam nadzieję, że nie
at your
ściemniasz.
previous tasks, I have no doubt you'll be able to handle the third just as well. Go and see Erzim and ask him about the book. Then you'll see how difficult it will be to get your hands on it. Best of luck, Henry.
I reckon I'll need it.
Dotarłem do Troski, byłem ciekaw, czy będzie tu jakaś inba związana z tym, co ostatnio tutaj odwaliłem, ale w sumie nikt nie zwraca na mnie większej uwagi. Możemy normalnie pogadać z Razimem.
I heard some interesting books from Prague have arrived at the castle. There's one I'd like to borrow. An alchemist's cookbook. A sand-colored cover, embossed.
Yes, Several rare and astonishing books have arrived from Prague. But why are you interested in an alchemist's cookbook?
A co cię to obchodzi?
I've heard there are some interesting ideas in it. Every alchemist is in dogged pursuit of wisdom, especially those from Prague.
Perhaps you know more about that book than I do. Well, I'll have to disappoint you. Lord Nickvard Libak helped me sort the new books at the time, and the one you're looking for caught his attention. He left with it before I could even discover what it's about. All I remember is the author's initials, BB. I'm fairly benevolent when it comes to lending books, and I appreciate Nickvard's help, but he's had it borrowed for an excessive amount of time now. I'd like to ask him to return it, but he's been avoiding me.
I'll have a talk with Nickvard and find out what the problem is.
You think I haven't tried? But since you've already offered to address this pressing situation, listen to what I've learned.
Najwyżej podejdę do niego w
It
nocy
seems
i
Nickvard
pożyczę tą
lost the
księgę.
book. I've warned him repeatedly not to carry borrowed books around with him, but to leave them in his chamber and read them there. But Nickvard is old and stubborn, and this is how things turn out.
The price of such a book must be incalculable. People like Nickvard are too dumb to understand.
But I digress. As I said, Nickvard is intentionally avoiding me. But I've made headway. I've managed to find 3 people who've spoken to him recently. Bertha, the cook, Regina, the maid, and Hirsch, the hand.
I reckon those aren't the only 3 people that know him.
I'm surprised that he's ever spoken to anyone but myself. Nickvard is a loner, which is also why I suspect something bad has happened. Now that he's decided to leave his shell, that is. But I'm afraid that's all I've managed to find out. Since Lord von Berkhove's arrival, I've been preoccupied with other matters.
Dobra, znajdziemy mu tą księgę.
I'll ask all 3 and see if they lead me to Nickvard.
Many thanks. If you aren't sure what to do, stop by and we'll discuss what you found out.
Before I go, can you tell me where I can find those people in the castle?
Who, exactly?
You said Nickvard is avoiding you. Where at the castle does he live? Are there any places he frequents?
Prowadzimy śledztwo, co dokładnie. Poza tym retoryka się sama nie podbije.
His chambers are in the Crone's Tower, but God knows if he's ever slept there. He took his meals down in the Crone's kitchen. Lately, I've often seen him talking to Regina in the Knight's Hall, in the Maiden, or looking out the hall window. I caught sight of him a few times with Hirsch at the transport yard below the castle.
So I just have to hope I run into him somewhere.
Nickvard always just shows up. I've rarely ever found him on my own. I'm not surprised you can't find him anywhere, since I've been trying myself.
Where is Bertha?
Bertha cooks for us in the Crone's kitchen. She's there most days. If you can't find her there, try the first house in the lower castle, across from the door to the dungeon.
Where is Regina?
As Lord von Berkhoff's personal maid, she'll likely be somewhere in the Maiden's Palace, perhaps in the Knight's Hall, or on the floor above it, near the Lord's chambers. She even sleeps there.
Where is Hirsch, the stable boy?
I've seen him with Hirsch at the transport yard below the castle. He sleeps in the house directly across from it. I don't know him much, though.
That's everything I needed to know.
No, to jedziemy. O, całkiem szybko ją znalazłem.
Bertha, instead of devils, I need your help now with Nickvard. The scribe told me you might know something about him.
Well, I'm waiting for Lord Libak to stop by. I brewed him another phial of medicine, but I don't even know if the last one helped. I told him to stop by for another one soon. I reckon he must be feeling better.
Did he say where he was headed?
I can't say. I promised Lord Libak his secret is safe with me, as well
To
as
może
his
weźmiemy
phial
tą
of
buteleczkę i
medicine.
zaniesiemy za ciebie.
Nickvard misplaced an important book somewhere. A sort of alchemist cookbook. I need to find it.
I remember the recipes by heart. And Lord Libac's secret is certainly worth more than any book.
No nie będę jej płacił 200 monet, no na pewno.
Listen, Bertha. I truly respect your honesty. I'm in the service of a nobleman myself, and I know what's expected of us in cases like these, whether it's Nick Vard's illness or political machinations over the fate of our kingdom. Both carry equal weight when spoken about behind closed doors, I'd say. I stand by my principles in matters like that.
Lord Libac's troubles can hardly compare to what you're talking about. It's really quite a trifle in comparison.
So you'll tell me then?
Well, it's a common potion for a bellyache. Just better tasting. It helps your meals go down easier and come out slower the other end. In that regard, Lord Libac had, well, how to say it? Everything came out much too quickly.
Nick Vard didn't have time to run down the stairs, eh?
It was in the privy down below the Crone, by the training ground below the guardhouse. I helped him clean his hose and made him the medicine, and I promised that I wouldn't say anything. Lord Libac is quite particular about the impression he makes on the young maids, you know. He didn't want this little episode to put them off. That's why he didn't use the privy near the maids' quarters, though it's closer to his chamber, but to the arena instead, and only when there weren't any
Jaki
soldiers
pruderyjny.
around. But this time, it caught up with him.
Is that all?
What else is there to say? That the entire time he looked as if he'd done the worst thing in the world. It happens to the best of us, and I told him as much then. I'm just surprised he never came back for another file, I must say. He did look as if the fate of the entire castle was suddenly on his shoulders.
I don't know if this is going to do me any good.
Well, you could have found a worse clue.
Thanks anyway.
No cóż, może jak pogadam z jedną z tych dwóch osób, które zostały, to dowiemy się czegoś bardziej deskryptywnego. Jakby się tu dostać, no jest pewnie w zamku.
Good day to you.
Trochę ją zaskoczyłem.
Find Nick Vard. The scribe said you might know.
Erazim is suddenly interested in Nick Vard and me. You don't say. But when I need him to read something for me, he never has the time. I'm sorry.
I was asking about Nick Vard.
Aye, I heard you. Say, can you read?
I can.
In that case, would you mind reading this message I have from Nick Vard?
Show me. Dear Mistress of the Chambers. What is it?
Oh, what I wouldn't give to get messages from someone else. Say, Lord Capon. Never mind. Read on. Though I reckon it interests you more than me.
Persevere. We shall soon escape the dungeon of those two women. Cursed fate, however, has placed an obstacle in my way. The heat of the Lightbringer's potion is working, and I can feel my insides being reborn. But when the last remnants of old age left my body, something else was washed away with them.
How much longer is it?
Not much. My damn clumsiness has sent all of the Lightbringer's secrets into the void, but fear not, I shall get them back. May this be the first task on the road to your liberation. That's it.
Beautiful.
True enough. Nick Vard has a flair for the dramatic.
My, that's Libac for you.
But what does it mean? Can you explain any of it to me?
Lord Libac...
No tak to właśnie wygląda, jakby smalił do niej cholewki.
I suggested to him it wasn't proper for a noble to have an affair with a maid. But he thought I meant he was too old for me. But then he found what he calls the Lightbringer's potion book. He said it would light a flame in him that would burn out all that's old. So I suppose it worked. Hooray!
I know the book he's talking about, but what does he mean, into the void?
Look, can we stop talking about this? I feel a little uncomfortable here talking about some
Wcale jej się nie dziwię.
lovelorn nobleman.
I understand. Just one more thing, please. When was the last time you saw Nickford? And where?
The last time was in the Knight's Hall, but that was a long time ago. I found that message a few days ago. Hard to say where he's off to.
Thanks anyway.
Hersz się grzebie w ogródku.
Lord be with you.
I'm looking for Nickford. The scribe told me you might know something about him.
Hey, Nick. I mean, Lord Libac. I almost forgot about him. I suppose his task wasn't so pressing. Hmm?
What do you mean, forgot?
Nick Libac, that is, entrusted me with a big task quite a while back. He's a castle lord. Obviously, I had to obey him. But then I heard what another castle lord was planning, von Berghoff, and I had to obey him even more. He says there's a war on. So here I am, ready to go off to battle.
I need to know more about what Nickford asked you to do.
No,
Grzesiu, ty coś podpalasz, jak robisz w tym ogrodzie, prawda?
You have to prove you're not a spy.
What are you blathering about?
Von Berghoff said there's a war on, right now. I told him, watch out for spies, Sir Otto. But fear not, I know how to...
Oj,
You're a
ciężki
spy
mi się
yourself,
trafił
ain't
kolega
you?
do konwersacji.
I'm not.
Ha! That's exactly what a spy would say.
Co
That's
za
why
typ?
you have to be vetted
O,
to see if you're really on our side. The side that Nickvard's on, just so you know. We're all friends here. You can join us.
I'd like to.
Hold your horses. First a test.
Tell me what you want from me then.
A sword.
Sword? What sword?
A long and very good one to help me deal with other spies. If you bring it to me, I'll know you're not an enemy spy who should fear me. Forge one, buy one, or even steal one for me. Maybe from one of the guards at the training ground or down by the gate. During the day, they're not in the towers anyway.
Steal a sword? That sounds like something a spy would do.
Not a spy who wants to help von Berghoff's most loyal servant. By servant,
tam
I
widzę,
mean
logika
me.
wzięła, już dawno
See,
wyskoczyła.
Once I get a sword, I'll fill you in on Nickvard's task.
Dobra, zagramy w tą grę, idę po ten miecz. Szybka akcja z mieczem.
About Nickford.
Got that sword yet, spy?
You wanted a sword? So look at what I got for you.
That's perfect. Lovely. I don't think you're a spy. Can't say for sure, but you seem all right.
Mózg mi się lasuje po prostu, jak widzę, co tu się dzieje.
Nickford asked me to do something for him. He must have admired my devotion to Lord von Berghoff. Either way, Nick looked troubled and not very healthy. He wanted me to fetch him something he lost outside the castle, and I told him I would. At least I could check to see if anyone was sneaking around about the castle. But then Nickvard clutched his belly and ran off. So I never found out what he wanted, or from where.
That's all.
Aye. If you run into Nickvard, ask him if he still needs it or whether he found it himself. I'll be going into war soon, so I don't have time for these things, see?
I'll tell him.
O, okej, super. Co teraz? O proszę. Stwierdziłem, że objadę zamek po prostu dookoła, żeby zobaczyć, czy znajdę to, czego miał szukać ten nasz stajenny, i znalazłem samego Nickvarda, jak z tego wynika. Zabieraj mu wszystko. Ale... Okej, dobra, nie będę tego komentował. Tu mamy jakąś książkę.
How many more times am I
No
gonna
właśnie.
poke around in corpses and shit for that damn cradle?
No i bomba, czyli możemy wracać do młyna. Poszło szybciej niż zakładałem. Bałem się, że tu jeszcze spędzimy trochę czasu. Crazy się tu schował w jakiejś dziurze przede mną.
Good day to you.
I have the book for you.
Well, I must admit, I haven't had an apprentice this handy in a long time. Zinnik has nothing on you.
I didn't even look inside.
You had a treasure like this in your hands, and you weren't even curious to have a
W sumie nie pomyślałem o tym.
I suppose it's not for everyone. This really is something. But why is it all covered in shit, for fuck's sake?
Let's just say the scribe didn't have it. It actually wasn't even in the castle. Under it, really.
Refining saltpeter. Boil wine and alum. Grind. Ah, of course, it makes sense. I'll study the rest on the way. Well, the last chapter of our story of knowledge awaits us. The grand finale.
Wrócę później.
I'll let you read through it and come back later.
A, czyli to nam nie skończyło tego questa. No to jednak nie wrócę później.
So what now? Do you have another job for me?
Charcoal. Sulfur from Hermes Trismegistos. Saltpeter from the carcass pit. As long as Black Bertolt didn't make any mistakes in his calculations, we have everything.
What Bertold? Oh, God damn it, Crazer, what's going on here? I'm tired of flying back and forth like a rag on a stick. I won't be led around by the nose. Will you finally tell me what's going on?
Believe it or not, all this secrecy had its reasons. But now I don't have to hide anything from you. It's time. We'll meet with the others in the lair, and there you'll learn the whole truth. You go ahead. I'm going to get a few things ready here.
All right, then. I hope you keep your word this time.
Okej, no to ogień.
What'll happen now?
O, proszę, przy kryjówce już mnie złapała
Only one, but
scenka.
very filling course awaits us.
Crazel, please. For once, just once, tell me what's actually going on.
And rob myself of enjoying your blissful
Czy my rozmawiamy
ignorance?
z
Not a
typem,
chance.
który się
Tell
nie
me
wyrenderował?
What do you think is going to happen?
Well, hopefully I'll finally find out what the point of all this was.
Or not, until you try another dose of niter.
I wouldn't do that to him. Not today. Bonnie will start today. At least I'll finally see if she understood my teachings. Bonnie?
First of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the whole gang for all the work you've done. We could never have finished the job without you. We found 2 new partners, you and Monarch here. It's good to have someone to rely on. So, it's time we started being honest with you, so you can finally learn the whole truth.
Not yet. Let's pull up that uppity bastard's leg a bit longer. That's the fun part.
Mam ci na
One more
kopedinek?
word, Zinek, and you'll get one on the nose.
Calm down, friend. I'm just kidding. Tell him then, Bonnie.
This whole time, you've been collecting ingredients and clues for us. But, so you wouldn't go nosing around, we always told you it was for something different than it actually was.
The miller here calls it tackets.
Tactics, you idiot. And everything worked out according to plan. So today we're finally close to our great success. With the help of Hermes Trismegistos and his successors, we'll finally complete the dream of all alchemists. Our Magnum Opus.
Exactly, Bonnie.
Magnum Opus. A great work of alchemy. You're trying to make the Philosopher's Stone.
Crazy się nie
I see
załadował.
you've learned something after all. But no, the Philosopher's Stone isn't our goal.
Let's see then, Henry. What is it you think we're making here?
Nastawiam, że złota.
Precious metal of all. Gold.
Well, Henry's not too far from the truth after all, don't you think? Attempts to create gold started it all, but it ended up a little differently. Let's start at the beginning. My father was a miller as well, but I was never much interested in the trade. Even as a young boy, I loved running around Lower Samine and investigating everything living and dead. And I had a lot of questions about everything. Then my mother, God rest her soul, decided it'd be best for me to go to study in Prague. As soon as I grew up and gained a bit of sense, I packed my bags and left.
So you went to a university in Prague? The son of a miller?
Why not? My father worked his arse off, and he had the coin for it, miller or not. I met a lot of remarkable people at the university, and my thirst for knowledge kept growing. But in the end, it only took a year of all that pretentious, scholarly blathering and hypocritical nonsense for me to realize I wouldn't learn anything proper there. Most of the students and masters are just a bunch of dogmatic fools. They have their own truth, and
No,
those
wiele
who
się nie
want to know
zmieniło.
more or ask the wrong questions fall into disfavor, as was my case.
So they kicked you out?
I didn't give them the pleasure. I left myself. The most important science is not subject to any religious dogma. And, of course, it's not taught at any university.
You mean alchemy?
Exactly. The art of combination and dissolution. The key to understanding the very nature of the world. There's only one queen of science. Alchemy. I returned to the mill in Lower Samine and started a new life.
What did your parents say when you returned from your studies?
My mother had already passed away. All my father said was, I knew you'd be back. And he sent me to haul sacks of flour. I think in the end he was glad to have someone to take over the mill from him. From then on, alchemy became my true passion. I brought a few important books from Prague. I started with the most difficult thing. I tried to create gold.
That was pretty daring of you.
As you might expect, it didn't work. But after a few tries, I managed to create something entirely different. Once I tried mixing sulfur, charcoal, and saltpeter. I had a candle burning next to me. A gust of wind scattered the mixture, and all of a sudden, bang! I almost shit myself, I tell you. But then I realized I'd unwittingly created a miracle. Explosive black powder.
I knew it was something like that. I've seen that kind of thing before.
And you didn't say anything. Well, you're in on it with us now.
I couldn't continue my experiments on my own, but Bonnie and Zinnig did a few little jobs for me.
So he initiated us.
But we just still didn't know how to do it right and not blow ourselves up in the process.
And we used up a huge amount of saltpeter and sulfur.
By the way, the manuscript from that Hermes Trismegistos was our shopping list and price list for material from Gutenberg.
Only we didn't know correct proportions. I looked up a few of my former fellow students and brought it up with them. And we found out that before us, some monk had already made the discovery.
Some fella called Black Bertold. And that he even started writing a book called
Feuerwerkbuch.
We can believe our luck when we found out there's a copy of it right here at Trotsky.
And you know the rest.
It's a discovery that will change history. In the right hands, it can make miracles happen. All it takes is a spark, and a storm of fire will sweep away the old world order. It will wipe out stupidity and ignorance, once and for all.
And what will happen now?
As I said, we're about to have our last supper on our journey to satisfy our hunger for knowledge. A feast of smoke and fire. Black Bertold never finished his book, because he never had enough ingredients for his last great experiment. But now, thanks to you, we do. We can finally finish Bertold's work and finish his book. We'll see with our own eyes.
Dlaczego mam wrażenie,
Black powder
że to się nie może skończyć dobrze?
excited as I am.
Before we get started, there's something I want to know. This book, Feuerwerkbuch, what's written in it?
everything you'd want to know about black powder. How to mix it in the proper ratio, how to store it, how to light it properly, and especially how to use it in warfare, because that's the most important part after all.
Do you really need that much saltpeter?
We do. Saltpeter makes up almost 3/4 of the mixture. Not even all the cows in the region could produce enough for us once we really get started with manufacturing.
What is it you're going to do with this powder?
During wartime, like it is now, a flammable and explosive mixture like this has more uses than you can imagine. If we had a few big barrels of the stuff, we could demolish Trotsky if we wanted to. And maybe we will.
All of us here are truly passionate about the idea of a new world. And now it's within our grasp.
What is it you studied at the university?
I was supposed to become a preacher.
That fits you. Maybe you'd even be a good preacher.
Maybe I would. Maybe I wouldn't.
God has a path prepared for each of us. And each of us here decided not to follow it.
I was supposed to be a dyer, but I was too lazy to work 6 days a week and soak my hands in lye.
I was supposed to become a nun, but I didn't want to give up the booze. Fellas.
You know, I've
Szanuję
already
to.
told you everything. The world is what you make it.
How did a scholar and an alchemist become a thief?
Prague is a big city, and a poor student has no chance of getting a decent place to sleep or even something to eat. Learning to shop with 5 fingers was the first requirement for survival. We're all masters of our own destiny.
I've heard enough. Now I want to see that with my own eyes.
Let's do it then. Bonnie, is everything ready?
Indeed, it is. We can get started. Long live the beautiful new world.
Nie, ja myślę, że stoicie za daleko. Powinniście zdecydowanie podejść bliżej. No, ta jedna rozsądna. Dlaczego kobiety żyją dłużej od mężczyzn? Serio, te batony będą tak stać przy tej beczce i się patrzeć.
Looks like it ain't working.
Bang.
I'd say it works just fine.
This will change history.
What? I can't hear a thing. But I'd say it works just fine.
Jak się pewnie domyślacie po tym, co zobaczyliśmy, można to nasze zadanie dość mocno przyspieszyć. Wczytałem ten zapis, gdzie byliśmy świeżo po rozmowie z Krejzlem i mam teraz za cel pójść do skryby i sprawdzić wskazówki. Natomiast my, będąc bogatsi w tą wiedzę, którą już mamy, udamy się po prostu do Zamku Troski. I to, co ja zrobię, to wezwę naszego wiernego Siwka. Udamy się w tą samą podróż, którą odbyliśmy sobie w ramach standardowego przejścia. Po prostu przejedziemy się tu pod murami, bo jak się już pewnie domyślacie, nie trzeba rozmawiać z tymi wszystkimi ludźmi w zamku, jeżeli was to nie interesuje. Nie chcecie podbijać retoryki, chcecie przespidować sobie to zadanie, to wystarczy udać się bezpośrednio do tego miejsca, gdzie znaleźliśmy przed momentem zwłoki naszego niedoszłego Lovelasa, który trochę przecenił własne możliwości. I tak jak widzicie, Opus Magnum zaczyna zaliczać. Znaleźliśmy Nigwarda. No i tutaj jest tak samo jak poprzednio księga, której szukaliśmy. Z automatu wszystkie zadania, które mieliśmy zrobić, znaczy te dodatkowe aktywności w troskach, zostały wyzerowane. Ja mogę jechać z powrotem do naszego młynarza. No i potem rzecz toczy się tak, jak się toczyła. Tak oto kończymy zadanie Opus Magnum. Bardzo serdecznie dziękuję wszystkim za oglądanie. Gorąco zapraszam do kolejnego odcinka, a na razie to tyle, także oby do zobaczenia.